Hi, everyone.
Welcome.
Shalom.
Hi, everyone. Welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Nice to see you.
Boker Tov.
Hello. Hi. Hi. It's Rhonda. Hi. Hi.
Hey there.
Shalom לכולם.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to our event. Nice to see you. Hello. My name is Rhonda Shakely, co-president of the Jewish National Fund of Ohio Valley. You might not recognize me with my hair inches too long and my cap, but we all know what's going on. The last time that we all met for Women for Israel was February 10th. I could not attend the beautiful Tu B'Shvat Seder because I was in New Zealand, and little did I know that in a few weeks, the word Corona would change our lives, not just here in Cincinnati, but the entire world. Today, we're living in the most unprecedented times. Each day, a new challenge, a new breakthrough, a new hope. We are all feeling the immediate effects of the virus, but we must be vigilant about staying on course and looking ahead to tomorrow. I hope that you are all staying safe and healthy. Welcome to our first Zoom event for Women for Israel. I thought Zoom, up until about 3 months ago, was just to go fast. I didn't realize that it would connect our family and our friends and our community during these stay-at-home times. I want to thank our WFI co-chairs, Alana Gerson and Evie Margolin, for putting this event together, along with our amazing professional team, Eric Goldstein and Nina Perla, as well as the event coordinators in Chicago. Since 1901, the Jewish National Fund has been committed to the preservation of the people of Israel. They set out to build a nation. And today we operate with a strategic plan focused on 7 initiatives with one common goal: to improve the quality of life in Israel for everyone. These include community building, heritage sites, green initiatives, water resources, special needs and disabilities, research and development, and Zionist education and advocacy. We accomplish these tasks with our partners in Israel, over 40 affiliates. It's our guidance and financial support, coupled with their day-to-day operations, that gets the job done. Today we will hear from one of our affiliates, Gailey Schiff, who was with us at the Seder in February, which many of you attended. We will hear what the last 4 months have been like in Israel. But first, let me say, I know how challenging this has been for all of us here. The needs of so many organizations, our local communities, and even our own families. But Israel is our home too, and we must not forget that it is our financial commitment that supports the projects of Jewish National Fund. At this time, we need your leadership and your faith in the state of Israel for the Jewish National Fund to continue its critical work. This is May, and the Women's Committee will match each dollar up to $1 million. So this is the time. This is the time to consider making your first gift to the Jewish National Fund. This is the time now to renew your gift, and even for you to consider increasing your support. It is my pleasure to introduce to you, via Zoom, Gailey. She's a woman with a deep commitment in creating an inclusive Israeli society. She's a passionate advocate. As a mother of a child who struggled with disabilities early in life, Kaylee was inspired to pursue work in disability inclusion. She's a versatile professional with a bachelor's degree in political science and journalism, and a master's degree in internal auditing. She also has extensive experience as a local newspaper editor and as an auditor of government authorities and private companies. She's a woman of vision who works tirelessly to integrate children with special needs into Israeli society and to advance that mission of inclusion. If you would like to ask Gailey a question, please press the chat button at the bottom of your screen and type your question. Please enjoy this short video, which beautifully captures how Gailey's work through LOTEM, even through the coronavirus, is affecting positive social change.
ליאל, מה שלומך?
בסדר,
איך את מרגישה בימים
טוב.
האלה?
טוב.
פריאל היא בת 21 היום, ילדה עיוורת עם שיתוק מומחי והרבה בעיות ברקע.
מי אוהב אותך?
אבא,
כמה אוהב אותך?
המון.
היא מאוד אוהבת לשמוע מוסיקה, כי היא לא רואה, הכל דרך השמיעה, סיפורים, ואני חושבת שהטאבלט יהיה וואו בשבילה.
פריאלוש,
פריאל,
מה תגיד?
מה תגידי?
תודה.
תודה, רק תודה. איזה חיוך, איזה חיוך, איזה יופי. עכשיו יהיה לך מה לעשות.
וואו,
נכון?
וואו, וואו.
היא כבר רוצה לפתוח. וואו, 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 פריאלה.
הנה, הנה, הנה.
נו,
פריאל?
תגידי
זה
משהו.
יפה.
זה יפה, את
מחזירים
יודעת?
אותה וזהו.
זה בצבע לבן, והמסך בשחור, ועוד מעט יהיה כל מיני ציפורים במוסיקה בפנים.
הביתה עכשיו, נכון?
באמת.
מאושרים ושמחים.
מה האמת?
אני מרוצה מזה, תאמיני לי, תראי איך אני מבסוטית. תראי.
יופי שאת מבסוטה.
או, מקריאה את השיר הזה?
Hi, everyone. So this Priel movie always brings tears to my eyes. Hello, thank you for having me. Like Rhonda said, I was there in February at the beautiful Tu B'Shvat event. It was amazing. Everything was fine and everyone was happy and it was a great evening. And I wouldn't even think that 2 weeks afterwards, after I finished my tour in America, I came back to Israel and I landed into a totally different reality. Everything changed, and I'm sure a few weeks afterwards, it happened here in America as well. And for a long time, we thought, in the beginning, we didn't know how long it will stay and when will ever things will be back to normal again. But I'm happy that over this 2.5 months, 3 months, it's been better. And today, I'm happy, and you can see me smiling because, first of all, I'm happy to be here and happy to see you and to know that you're there. But I'm also happy because my children, for the first time today, went back to school after 2.5 months. So I'm happy. We're all happy in Israel. That's the truth. And we're just, and again, I don't know if you know how hot it is in Israel. I heard that in your place it's raining, but in Israel it is unprecedented hot. It's unbelievable. It has been hot like this. It hasn't been hot like this for decades. And everybody's sure that it's killing the virus. So I hope the corona's dead because the heat is killing it, and we'll see. But the truth is we're going back to routine very slowly. The children are going back to school like twice a week, 3 times a week. The children with special needs, the special needs sector is not going back yet because they're high risk and the logistics is too complicated. So they're staying home and probably will be to the rest of this school year. You all know Lotem. Lotem is an educational organization in Israel, has been working in Israel for 27 years and specializes in making Israel accessible. Now, when we talk about accessibility, what is accessibility? Do we mean an elevator? Do we mean a ramp so people can go places and be a little bit more, involved? Of course, that's trivial. But let's talk about what the concept of accessibility is. Why do we want to make places accessible? Why is it so important that Israel and the society is accessible? Because we know we don't want to leave anyone behind. And we know that if we want people and children with special needs to be accepted in society and to be part of society and have a life that is active and full of content, we need everything to be accessible for them and inclusive. And this is what Lotem is doing. So making the ramps and the elevators, of course, that's trivial, that's basic. But what Lotem is specializes in and what Lotem is known for doing is accessibility of information. What is accessibility of information? I'll give you an example. It's just a simple example that, something that I never thought about before I came to Lotem and started talking to people with different disabilities that I wasn't familiar so much. So let's say when a blind person or a person that has heavily visual disabilities, impairment, goes to a museum, how does he experience this experience? So I would say in the beginning, what does a person that can't see go to a museum for? I mean, it's a very visual experience. What does he have to do in the museum? But the truth is, the people that can't see are still very much involved and very much love culture, just as I and you do, and are interested in being exposed to art and to culture, and they love going to museums. So how do you make a place, a museum like an art, accessible? Do you just put in a ramp or a place that they can go to and then explain about the picture and say, this is a picture by this and that artist, and it has green and yellow, and then it turns into purple, and it has like a big boat there? Is that the way to explain? That's a visual way to explain. That doesn't mean anything. If you want to make the information accessible for a person that can't see, you have to put it in context. You have to tell about the artist, about political context, about the cultural situation, about materials that he used, materials that were accessible. Why did he choose these materials? What did he do them? What was the meaning? What did he say about creation? What did other people say about creation? There is so much more to tell. And then the creation and the art becomes visual for them, and they enjoy the experience. So this is only one way of making information accessible. Lotem is doing that for all difficulty, on all levels of ability and understanding in Israel, in all the outdoors. And this is our specialty. Why is it so important now to talk about it? Because when COVID-19 broke in Israel, everything changed. The children, the first thing they did, they sent the children from the schools and they went home. And the name of the game became long distance learning. Everything is about long distance learning. And Israel, I don't know how it is in America, but Israel was not ready for that. Who knew what to do with it? So I saw that my children with their teachers, that took them a long time. It took them some time. Some of the teachers were very deductive, and some of them tried to be more creative. It took them, they got the hang of it. And after a few weeks, some of them, they got better. They got much better, and they managed to learn. But what do you do in the sector of special needs? How do you transfer everything that they do in school into this media? They were not ready for that. They didn't know how to do it. And another thing is that if you talk about like a typical school, you talk about 7th graders or 6th graders, then you have, with the information, what you have to teach them. But with the special needs sector, every school is different, every disability is different, every group of class has their own methods, their own way of teaching. It's very different. It's not united. It's not uniform. So they didn't know what to do. So the whole sector of special needs really came together, and we associated with them, of course. And under the umbrella of Akim, which is the umbrella organization for all the families of children with special needs in Israel, we started operating. And what Lotem did, we started because this is our specialty and we were just in our element, we started producing materials for schooling, for long distance learning. And this is what we did. And we started producing them and we gave them to all the schools and all the institutions that had children stay, and the institutions that had their children go back home and then they had to teach them. We gave it to them. And of course, we did not charge them for anything that we did. We used our reserves. And this is maybe the place to say just a few sentences about that. Lotem is an organization that gets its budget from the government. We are budgeted by the Israeli government. We have other foundations and the JNF. That would be about 50% the government and 50% NF. For the last year and a half, nothing to do with COVID-19. You know, in Israel, was a political paralysis. We went through 3 elections. There was no ministers. There was no government. There was nothing operative. So there was no budgets. So all the nonprofit organizations in Israel suffered with no budgets, and many of them in our sectors and in other sectors really bleeding are still, and some had to close, some of them had to reduce, some had to do different things or do less than they did. Lotem, fortunately, not only did not have to do that, but we have grown and expanded throughout this year and a half, and that is thanks to JNF. JNF was there for us. They did not let us fall because they knew how much we are short by budget from the government. They did not let us fall. We have expanded. We have continued to grow. We have continued to build. We've continued to have more children and more nature clubs and do the work that we do even more. So we also, as an organization, we're always very good with the money, very modest with the way we conduct ourselves. So we had the reserves and we started producing those programs for learning. But then we found out that there are children with special needs that don't have computers and don't have the ability to communicate with their teachers, with their friends, with their caregivers, because they have a financial situation at home that they don't have the computers. And we put ourselves a goal to not have any child with special needs not have a computer or a tablet, whatever they need from their schools, so they can communicate and be part of the schooling program with their schools. And this is what we're doing. What you saw in the movie, Priel, which always makes me, cry. And we have a lot of more videos that show other children that got computers from us and that got tablets, that it just changed their lives. It just makes all the difference in the world, from a child that is lonely and that is sad and that it's not, sometimes they don't understand what happened. Why can't they go out? Why can't they see their teachers? What's going on? And just makes all the difference for them. And during this, we see loneliness and we see sadness and we even see depression. And there's a lot of regression, but from all the achievements that they have, physical achievements and emotional and behavioral. And we believe that this connection makes all the difference for them and for their families. And it's an $1,800 gift, which is doable. I know it's, in these times. And I'll just say one thing, that throughout history in the Jewish world, even when it was, tragedies and difficult times, there was always tzedakah, because there was always someone else that had it more difficult, and children with special needs have it more difficult for them. And unity and the ability for you to make a difference is just, it resonates to people. People get it today. When we talk about loneliness, when we talk about isolation, people get it. And to understand and think that for children with special needs, this is their reality, it's just very sad. And if we have the ability to help someone, and I think it's something we really consider and just do. And I want to thank you for inviting me, and thank you for being here and listening to me.
Hi, Gailey. How are you?
Fine, Nina.
Great. We're so happy to have you here. I'm Nina Perloff, Campaign Executive with Jewish National Fund in Ohio Valley. And we have some questions from some of our viewers today that I'd like to share with you. So one of the questions is, does every child in the Computer for Every Child project, are they all getting the same computer package, or is it customized per child?
Absolutely. It's a great question. Every school has their own demands, their own software that they use, their own programs that they use. So Akeem, the umbrella organization, is coordinating that with us, and we have all the information from all the school comes. So every school, we know exactly what the name of the child is, what the disabilities, and what their needs are. So the kids are getting the computers or the tablets with all the software that is required embedded inside of it already, specifically.
That's terrific, because I imagine with the full range of special needs that your agency addresses, there's a big variety in how to give them the equipment that will be most helpful. So how many
Right.
of
It's
these
not
computers
easy, but
are you able to distribute?
excuse me, I didn't hear you.
How many of these computers have you been able to distribute through the program?
Okay, so far about it was 76 and the last count, and now we just made a new purchase of another 20, so it's going to be 96, and still going on.
And
So
what is your goal for how many you'd like to be able to purchase and distribute?
The goal on the beginning, the first goal was 200, and then we said, 200, and we're getting there. But the truth is that over the time we get more and more demand from more schools. So we'll just keep on with that. It's going to be 230, about 200 now.
And I think you said that the estimated cost per child to get one of these computers is about $1,800 US. Is that correct?
Right. So it's an $1,800 gift, which will give a laptop with all the software embedded going to the child. But in case it's the tablet with some, you saw Priel, she has visual disabilities. Children that with this kind of disability will use a tablet, not a computer. So in that case, we'll get about 3, sometimes 4 tablets for the same gift.
Great. Another question has come in asking about the availability and cost of broadband in Israel for these families that have financial hardship.
What is broadband? Sorry.
Internet connection.
Oh, okay. So this is a question that everyone in America and every Zoom or every conversation we have, there's always someone asks. In Israel, there is no problem with Wi-Fi. Everyone has internet. There's Wi-Fi all over. I have Wi-Fi out of my home, inside of my home, in the elevator, going to the mall. There's Wi-Fi anywhere. So of course, if there is a problem, we will address and we'll help like we always do. But hasn't been so far.
Great. That's good for us to know. Another question that has come in. Since the students will gradually be going back to in-person school learning, hopefully, will the students keep the equipment or is it on loan?
The equipment is there to keep. It's theirs. They will use it. They will continue using it. They are not coming back to school so fast, though they're still using it for the long distance learning, but they will. Of course, it's theirs. That's why we make sure to give them only the best. Every tablet is at least 32 giga memory, 10.2 size. Every computer is only either it's HP or it's I forget, like the best brands ever. The tablets will only be Lenovo or iPad or Samsung, only the best. With responsibility, with the guarantee, with insurance, with everything, of course.
Great. I was wondering if you could share with us a little bit of information about how LOTEM also supports shelters for women suffering from domestic violence.
So this is an ongoing program that we have been doing for the last 6 years. We're doing it with the Ministry of Welfare in Israel. We're an educational organization. We're operating in all the shelters for domestic violence women and children in Israel. There are 13 shelters in Israel. 10 of them are general population, 2 of them for the Hasidic community, and 1 of them is for the Arab community in Israel. What we do is we take them all on secure outings, the mothers, the children, a few times a year. It's going to be 4 or 5 times. Every time they go through this process, which is also a hike and fun and food, and also something that is more like a therapeutic. It's going very nicely. It's supported by the Women for Israel. And now in the COVID-19, we are also supporting them by giving them computers and tablets for the children.
Great. I have another question that's come in asking about the availability of Braille keyboards for those recipients with visual impairment.
Wow, that's the first one. I don't know. I haven't heard about it. I don't know how it is in use in Israel for the younger generation because we are mostly with the schools. So we never had a demand for that yet. We work a lot with a visually impaired population. But so far, we didn't have a demand like that. That would definitely challenge us, but we will rise to the challenge if needed, of course.
Great. So you mentioned that LOTEM was providing core material during this whole quarantine period. Could you tell us a little bit more about what kind of lessons were being created by your team?
Okay. So the team, LOTEM has a very broad educational team that is professional. We also have teachers that are soldiers and national services that work. So it's very instructors. And what we're doing, we are providing material and programming for schooling. So it's on demand and just coordinated with the schools and the institutions. Mostly it's with what we call the methodologia of simplified linguistics, which is the way that we do what we do. And it's really nice, very interesting, and it's working very well. I have just an example in English. Before the Independence Day, 2 of our teachers that are also English speakers made a surprise for me and made a video in English. So it's on my Facebook. If you want to go, you can check it out. It's just like an example of a teacher, a program in English.
That's great. We will definitely have to go check that out later today. Another question I had is LOTEM does a lot of training programs for adults throughout Israel who will interact with or work with Israelis with disabilities. And tell us a little bit more about that if you can quickly. I know it's a big, big program, but also how has it been affected most recently?
So LOTEM is a very branched organization. We've been working for many years, and over years we've branched, and about 5 years ago, we, for the first time, went out of the sector that we are used to work with, the community of children and adults with special needs, and started working with people that are typical to make them more aware and to raise the awareness and make them more able to work with people with disabilities, serve people with disabilities and their families, or accommodate them in working environment. And it started from the government asking us to do all the training for the teachers, because the shifting, the mainstreaming, and it happened in America a few years ago, it happened in Israel a little later, mainstreaming, having children with special needs integrated in typical schools, it became like a big thing in Israel, and they had to have all their teachers and all their staff go through an accessibility training. So we started doing that. Then came more officials and more government employees. We started doing most of the government offices. Then came the private sector and Intel company and Polygon and all kinds of high-tech companies wanted us to do those training and accessibility training. So now we have about 6,000 people go through this accessibility training every year.
That's terrific. Well, do you have any last thoughts for us before we move on?
Well, I just have this a great story. It's an anecdote, but I think it tells. It's like a story that gives like a much bigger view of what's going on in Israel and the way the Israeli society. We don't really know how to pull ourselves when crisis is happening. So we were very obedient. We stayed home. We did what we were told, and we were quarantined and even under curfew, but we also came together and people were really helping each other and volunteering and doing for each other. So there was this time when we had kids from Eilat. Eilat is the most southern city in Israel. If you've been to Israel, maybe you've been there. Not virus. There is no work there. So this city has over 80% of non-employment and now is the poorest city in Israel. So there is one school for special needs children there. They have children from the age of 6 to 21 with all varieties of special needs because it's one school that is very remote and it's the only local school. And they need computers. And they had 9 children from really difficult stories, like a mother of 2 autistic children that is a single mother and a newcomer from Russia. And she worked in a hotel and she's not employed. Really terrible stories, really difficult. They needed those computers. But what happened, so we got them the computers. What happened, we couldn't get it to Eilat because of the curfew. It was not allowed in Israel from city to city. So we tried every courier company and we couldn't get it. And we had a lot of volunteers that were willing to help, we couldn't make it. So the last resource, I turned to the chief of the Israeli police, told him the story, and asked for their help. And he said, we're on it. So for a whole day, we had Israeli officers, taking the computers from one district to another district. Those computers went from the north end of Israel to the south of Israel, from car to car, from police car to police car, until it got to Eilat, and the police went to the children's homes and gave them those computers. I can't tell you how happy they were to get police coming to them the computer. They were just so ecstatic, and the parents were so thankful. And and we thanked the policemen, and they thanked us, giving them the opportunity. So I'll just say, from those terrible that we have suffered and the experience, there are a few moments that I want to remember, and these are the moments to remember.
Thank you so much for sharing that story with us.
Thank
And
you.
now it is my pleasure to turn it over to Marty Bedigal.
Thank you so much, Gailey. That was so inspiring, and I applaud all the work you're doing to help Israel's most vulnerable population. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Marty Bedigal, a very proud member of the Jewish National Fund Sapphire Society and a member of the Ohio Women's for Israel. To all of you watching, please consider supporting the Computer for Every Child program. And don't forget, make your donation this month and it will be doubled thanks to the May gift match. Please go to www.jnf.org and click on donate, or you can even donate right now by typing your pledge into the area labeled for chat in this Zoom event. I'd also like to invite you to an upcoming virtual parlor meeting on May 26th at noon, hosted by the amazing Evie Margolin, with guest speaker Michal Galnor, who will talk to us about tourism in the Upper Western Galilee and the effect the coronavirus has had, the devastating effect that the coronavirus has had on tourism in Israel, which is so key to its existence. And if any of you are actually interested in hosting a private Zoom meeting for your own small group of friends with a guest speaker from Israel, please contact Eric Goldstein or Nina Perlov at the local JNF office. Now we have one more short but moving video which shows how the Israeli police helped Lotem with their Computer for Every Child program. So sit back and enjoy. Thanks.
אני רוצה להודות קודם כל משטרת ישראל, לשליחים הנהדרים שהביאו את המחשבים האלה לעמותת לוטם ול-JNF. המחשבים האלה הולכים לאנשים וילדים שאין להם בכלל, ואין להם נמצא להם בדרכם שתקשר איתם בתקופה, לבצע עם דבר אחר. תודה רבה 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 בכלל זה ל-JNF ולעמותת לוטם. אין לי מה רבה. תודה על העבודה הדדית הנהדרת הזאת. תודה רבה.
Thanks for coming.
Bye. Have a great day.
Goodbye.
להתראות, everybody.
Bye. Stay safe.
Thank you, Callie. This was amazing.
See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye, see you later.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, everybody.
Wash your hands.
Bye, everyone. Stay positive, stay safe. Hang in there.